Have you ever come across a woman who has certain rules where she says, for example, she doesn't kiss on the first date, or she would never have sex on the first date or the first night that she meets a guy, but she then breaks those rules when she meets a certain type of guy? And what most guys don't realize is that the guy that a woman will break her rules for and sleep with right away doesn't have to be handsome, doesn't have to be some guy who looks really amazing or anything like that. She will break her rules for a guy who looks average but is giving her a certain type of feeling. And this is where a lot of guys go wrong, where when they come across a woman who has rules where she says she doesn't kiss on the first date, or she wouldn't sleep with a guy until, they'd known each other for a month or two, or maybe 3 dates, 5 dates, whatever it may be. A guy will often hear that sort of thing and think, okay, well, I better show her that I'm a great man and try to live up to her expectations in order to get the result with her, right? I've got to play by her rules now. I've got to hopefully pass all of her tests and her expectations to hopefully get a result. But then another guy just comes in and gets a result right away, right? So how does he do that? I'm going to give you 3 examples of how it's done. So the first example is on a first date, right? So her first date rule is no kissing or sex on the first date. And the guy that she will stick to her rules with will follow her lead. He won't create much or any sexual tension, and he'll just play it safe. And because of that, the date feels polite and comfortable, but there's no pull, there's no desire that makes her want to break her rule. Whereas the guy that she breaks her rule for, he will flirt with her confidently, and he'll create sexual tension between him and her. He'll make her feel sexually attracted, and he's not going to be asking for anything from her. He's not going to be coming from a place where he's hoping to be accepted, that he may get to kiss her or he may get to have sex with her one day. Instead, he's creating natural sexual tension between them. He's creating that sexual desire inside of her, and she then starts to want to break her rule because the attraction is so strong. So the guy that she follows her rule for and doesn't kiss on a first date is going to be following her lead, right? She's in control of the whole dynamic here. I've got to hopefully pass her tests. I've got to live up to all of her expectations. And eventually she may let me kiss her, right? He's coming from that place where she's completely in control. Whereas the guy that she will break her rules for and kiss on the first date will be flirting with her when he's interacting with her. He won't be playing it safe and thinking that he can't create a sexual vibe between him and her because she doesn't kiss on the first date. Instead, he'll create a sexual vibe, because when you flirt and you create a sexual vibe with a woman, you create sexual tension. It naturally causes a woman to want to kiss you and have sex with you. It leads to that. That's how men and women interact with each other, in a way that leads to kissing and sex. So he just does that, and she starts feeling like she wants to kiss him. She starts imagining having sex with him. So when they get up, for example, after sitting down at a cafe and they're saying goodbye, he might give her a goodbye hug. And as they're hugging, if he pulls back and she's looking at him in the eyes and she's smiling and she's not turning away and trying to get away from him, he may start to lean in. And if he's created enough sexual tension between him and her and she's feeling enough sexual desire, in that moment, she's going to start kissing him. And if she doesn't kiss him, then he doesn't have to give up at that point, and he's not forcing her to do anything. He may suggest that they go for a walk together. And then when they go for a walk together somewhere, he's flirting with her more, he's creating more sexual tension, they hug again, and then they kiss. Or if she still doesn't kiss him at that point, he may invite her back to his place to hang out. And if they're hanging out on the couch and there's sexual tension between him and her and they're cuddling and there's that vibe between him and her, a kiss will usually happen. And at that point, when they start touching each other, right, he's rubbing her down there and she's stroking him and she gets on top of him maybe, and they're kissing and he's playing with her boobs. She may get them out, and then the next thing you know, she's taking off her top. Next thing you know, oh, he's putting on a condom. Oh, now she's on top. Oh, she's taken a ride and she's broken her rule because she was feeling so attracted to him. There was so much sexual tension between him and her because he wasn't playing it safe like the other guy of, oh, well, she doesn't kiss on first date, so I better not try to flirt with her. I better show her that I have no interest in kissing her. But that's not going to create a sexual connection between a man and a woman. It's going to feel more like a friendly interaction. And it doesn't mean that every time you meet a woman for the first time or every first date you go on, it has to result in sex. But the guy who she breaks her rules for does what works between a man and a woman, right? He creates that sexual tension, the sexual desire. But the guy who she sticks by her rules with is a guy who thinks that, okay, I can just do all the right things around her and then she will let me, right? She will give me that. And he's thinking of him getting something if he does all the right things. Whereas a guy who's naturally good with women doesn't try to get something from a woman. Instead, he's sharing an experience with a woman. She's getting to have sex with him, right? It's not a one-way thing of, oh, wow, she's touching me now, I'm getting this. Instead, she's getting to touch you, right? She's having that experience. She's enjoying that. A natural approaches it in that way, but a guy who struggles with women will be thinking that he's hopefully going to get something if he follows all of her rules and does everything right. But when a guy does that and a woman can sense that he's trying to be really nice and follow all of her rules, she then starts to put her guard up because it seems like he's being manipulative. It seems like he is trying to get a result by potentially tricking her, right? And it's not going to be applicable for every guy, but he's potentially trying to get a result by tricking her into thinking that he's a really nice guy with good intentions, and he doesn't even care if they eventually have sex or not, but in reality, he's hoping that he gets that result. And the woman then looks at his behavior as he's just acting really nice. He's trying really hard to do everything that she said she wanted him to do in order for him to hopefully get the result. Whereas a guy who's naturally good with women isn't focusing on all the things that she said. Instead, he's just flirting with her and creating sexual tension. And then as a result, it just naturally happens where she wants him sexually. And if they do happen to hug, a kiss will usually just naturally happen. And then they go back to his place or her place and they have sex right away. It's just instant. But for other guys, they are stuck because they're thinking that they need to follow all of the woman's rules and do everything right in order to hopefully get a result. The next example is with her type, right? And for example, she only dates guys over 6 foot. So the guy that she sticks to her rule with will know that he's not her type because she says she only dates guys over 6 foot. So he then overcompensates. He's trying to prove that he's worthy by showing off his career or lifestyle or being really nice to her or talking about what he may achieve in future and so forth. Essentially, he's subtly seeking her approval and acceptance, and that then makes her feel turned off, and she focuses on the fact that he isn't tall enough. Yet, the guy that she breaks her rules for, he might be 5'7" or 5'8", and she said that she only goes for guys over 6 foot, but he doesn't even acknowledge the fact that he isn't her usual type. He just confidently flirts with her and makes her feel an attractive connection, and in most cases, she then stops thinking about the height and starts thinking, why do I feel this way around him? Why do I feel so attracted to him? Why do I like him so much? And when I was attracting and hooking up with women, I've settled down now. I walked up to a catwalk model who was 6 foot-ish and I'm 5'9", and I walked up and said something to her that most guys think you shouldn't say to a tall woman, right? You shouldn't say that she's tall. You shouldn't talk about her height. You shouldn't talk about anything like that. You can't say that she's tall because she hears that all the time. Well, I don't care. I'm not worried about that. I'm me. She's going to like me because I'm confident and I display attractive traits. Women feel attracted to me. It works. So when I walked up to her, I said, oh, you're tall. I like tall girls. And she was literally looking down at me, right? Because she was a lot taller. But the next night she was at my apartment, and I'm not going to show the photos in this video. If you want to check out the photos, they're in the link in the description. I have plenty of photos of me with women that I was intimately involved with, and you can check that out there. And one of the catwalk models that I was with is in that photo collection. And I say one of, it's one of a number. But I'm only 5'9" in terms of height, and that's not super short or anything. But her type was not a guy who was shorter than her. And she's used to being around guys who are models. But I just don't care. I'm not worried about that. I'm not thinking about that. I know that she's going to feel attracted to me in the moment, because I know how to make women feel attracted. For example, if I said that conversation starter in an insecure way or in a nervous way, she would not have felt attracted to me. Oh, you're tall. Yeah, I like tall girls. That's not going to work, right? She's going to be looking down at me going, you little weak piece of, and it's just not going to work. Whereas when I said it in a confident way, oh, you're tall. I like tall girls. She immediately knew, oh, this guy isn't afraid. He's not intimidated. And that sparked her attraction. And as a result, she broke her quote-unquote rule of not dating short guys or guys who don't look like models and was over at my apartment the next night. Also, most of the women that I kissed immediately or had sex with on the first night or first date are the sort of women that if you saw them walking down the street or in a shopping mall or if you saw them in a work environment, they seem like really nice, professional, sweet, innocent type of women who would never do something like that. And the reality is that they don't do it with guys who don't make them feel attracted and don't make them feel the sort of things that I'm talking about in this video. But when you get it right, women kiss you right away, they have sex with you right away, even though they have those rules, right? They just break their rules for you. And before I give you the third example in this video, this is what the guys who are learning my attraction mastery techniques are experiencing. They're kissing women the first time that they meet them. They're having sex with women the first time that they meet them, even though the guy has never done that before in his life, right? He's been the sort of guy who never got that result before. It's happening for him right now in today's dating scene like that, with simple changes to how you're interacting with the woman. Suddenly, she feels so attracted to you that she just breaks her rules and she just goes along with the attraction that she's feeling. It just feels amazing. It feels amazing for you and for her. So let's get to number 3. The take things slow rule, right? So the guy that a woman will stick to her rule with will be constantly checking in to make sure that he's not moving too fast, right? She said that she likes to take things slow. So he asks her if she's comfortable. He reassures her that he respects her space and that he's following her pace. And in many cases, she'll then reject him or friend zone him because she'll see that he is insecure, that he is desperately trying to live up to all of her expectations and follow all of her rules to hopefully be given a chance. Like, hopefully she'll let me. She'll select me, right? Hopefully if I just show her that I'm really respectful. I mean, she said she likes to take things slow. So, hey, I'll take things slow for 2 freaking months if she wants to. Oh, 3 months? Sure. 6 months? Oh, no worries. I'll wait. I'll wait forever, right? You know, those sort of guys. I'll wait as long as it takes. But then another guy comes along, bang, kisses her instantly, has sex with her instantly because he doesn't pay attention to that quote-unquote rule that in almost all cases the woman isn't serious about anyway. But even if she thinks that she's serious about it, she will break that rule if the guy makes her feel enough attraction. And I mean makes her feel. This is something that you can make a woman feel. The reason why is that attraction is a reaction to attractive traits. So when you display confidence, women automatically react with a feeling of attraction. And when you display other attractive traits and behaviors, women react with attraction. Yet, if you display unattractive traits, such as insecurity, self-doubt, and nervousness, women automatically feel turned off. They can't help it. It's an automatic reaction. So if a woman says that she is a girl who likes to take things slow, and the guy then follows her lead and avoids creating sexual tension, she will feel like the dynamic between them lacks a sexual spark. Yet the guy that she breaks her rule for will not try to get rid of those moments of sexual tension when they're there by quickly talking about something else or shuffling his body language or trying to talk in a neutral way to get rid of it. Instead, when there are those moments between you and the woman where it seems like there's sexual tension there, both of you are feeling it, a guy who she's going to break her rules for is going to be a guy who lets that linger and doesn't try to get rid of it. He can continue looking at her a little bit and smile. Even if it's just for a few seconds, it creates that dynamic between him and her where there's an understanding now that, oh, right, they're both feeling sexually attracted to each other. There's that sexual tension. It's enjoyable and they're both comfortable with it. But a guy who she doesn't break her rules for and she sticks to her rules for will feel that type of moment and then sort of, yeah, so tell me about, and he'll try to break that, or he'll feel uncomfortable with it and he'll break the eye contact or, you know, get something on the table if they're at a cafe, get his drink or coffee and have a drink of that and just diffuse the sexual tension, get rid of it. He won't be able to play with it a little bit for a few seconds and let it exist. But a guy who she's going to break her rules for is going to turn up that sexual tension. He's going to let it build to the point where she feels so sexually attracted to him. There's so much tension that she then wants to release the sexual tension with kissing and sex. Right? That's how it works. Right? You build up sexual tension and then you release it with kissing and sex. But where a lot of guys go wrong is that they try to just get rid of the sexual tension because they're worried that the woman might think that he's coming on too strong, or it might feel awkward for her, or he might seem this or that, whatever it may be, and he just gets rid of it. and the date or the interaction, if they're talking to each other in a bar or at a party or through friends, it just feels kind of polite now, neutral. It feels like there's a distance between him and her. There's still that big gap between them, but a guy who does it right is going to cause him and the woman to just feel drawn to each other. And naturally, they're going to want to release that tension with kissing and sex. And if he knows then how to initiate that, it's going to happen. But if he is like a guy who she's not going to break her rules for and thinks, well, I just better wait for a couple of weeks before I try to hug her because she said she wanted to take things slow, then he'll usually end up in the friend zone, or he may end up getting rejected altogether. But a guy who's going to instantly kiss her or instantly have sex with her is going to build up that tension, and he's not going to be afraid to then initiate a hug or initiate some touch, or if he's sitting next to her, put her arm around her. And because there's so much tension between him and her, when they're looking at each other, it's just building. And if he leans in then and she leans in, it just happens. Right? And it's something that just happens. And she can then say to her friends that it was just so amazing, the chemistry we felt. I've never felt anything like that before. I'm not usually like that. It was just so natural and organic that we started kissing, blah, blah, blah. She's able to explain it off because she was overwhelmed by the attraction. It just causes a woman to break all of her rules. So to finish up here, I'll point out that it doesn't mean that every time you meet a woman, you have to kiss her right away and have sex with her right away. But what you'll find is that the option is usually there. Right? Sometimes a woman will want to stick by her rules to the point where she doesn't want to have sex until the second or third date. That does happen, even if you're really good at creating attraction and sexual tension. But in most cases, the opportunity is there. And it's not something that you're taking from a woman. She's getting to experience it too. Right? She wants to find a lover, boyfriend, or husband. She wants to feel attracted. She wants to feel the sexual tension. She wants to feel your touch. She wants to touch you. She wants to feel you inside of her. She wants to start falling in love. It's an experience that she's having too. But if you approach your interactions with women where you're trying to get something and you're hoping that if you do everything right, she'll let you, then women are going to have their guard up. They're going to stick to their rules. And in many cases, it will result in you being friend zoned or rejected.